Now it's time for another Board Game Brawl preview with Nick Minahan, sponsored by BoardGameBliss.com. Hey now, my name is Nick, this is Board Game Brawl, and today we're going to be taking a look at a game that is currently seeking funding on Kickstarter. That game is called Forgotten Kingdom. It's from the company Crywolf Games. Now, if you like what you see throughout the rest of this preview video, I'm going to encourage you to go to the official Kickstarter project page. I should have a link down in the description section underneath this video, and then also in the top corner of your screen, you can click on the little icon that indicates a little pull-down tab that will also have the link to the Kickstarter. Go to the official Kickstarter project page. You don't have to take my word for it. Find out more information and hopefully consider backing the project. Now, what is Forgotten Kingdom? This is a competitive card game where players are trying to manipulate a deck of cards that represent different fairy tale fantasy characters, and they all have different special abilities, and you're going to do simultaneous action selection. That is the main mechanism of the game. You flip over the cards and the characters that you've chosen and use their abilities. However, the twist of the game is that after you've used a character, it goes into a forgotten pile. The forgotten pile is sort of like a discard pile, but the key here is that on your next action, the next round of play, they have a special ability, a forgotten ability, quote unquote, which will manipulate the next round of play. Let me go ahead and give you a brief look at how the game is played with a prototype version of the game. So what you see here may change in the final version of the game. Then we're going to come back. I'll give you my final thoughts. Okay, I'm going to run you through a quick game of Forgotten Kingdom. This is a competitive game for 2 players. Each player has the same set of cards, and you're going to use these cards representing different characters in this kingdom in order to win each round of the game. Now, over here you have a score tracking card, or 2 cards, that you'll use to keep track of the score. So you'll have the tracker here. This has numbers 0 through 9, and you'll use this card, which has either, at the start of the game, you'll have the 0, so that just goes to 0. When you gain 1 point, you'll move it down, and of course, when you lap that and go to 10 points, you'll start moving it down to signify 11, 12, and so on and so forth. Now, you can actually decide what point threshold you want to play towards. If you want a really quick game, you might only play to 5 points, but if you want a longer game, you might play to 10 points, 20 points, 30 points. It's really up to you. Whoever gets the prerequisite amount of points that you decide on first is going to be the winner of the game. Now, I'm going to show you what all the cards are in a couple of minutes, but first I just want to run you through the gameplay, so that way, when I show you what all the cards do, it will actually make more sense. Now, each player, like I said, is going to have the same set of cards. You're going to take those cards, you're going to shuffle them up, and then you're going to draw 8 of them to constitute your starting hand. The other cards you're just going to put off to the side, and you want to leave some room over to the side of there for your forgotten pile. This is where the characters that are no longer active that you have used are going to go, but they're not quite out of the game yet. So how the game is going to work is that each player is going to take a card from their hand. And actually, for your first beginning game, the rules recommend that you just play randomly. Just get a sense for what happens and how abilities trigger and things like that. But when you get down to a real game, you're going to deterministically pick up your hand of 8 cards, pick one that you want to play without showing it to your opponent, and put it face down in front of you, locking it in. Your opponent is going to do the same thing. We're just going to pick a card at random here just to illustrate the point. Once you've both locked in a character card, you're going to flip them over and resolve their effects. Now, first and foremost, if in the first round of the game, you are only activating the top character effect. There's a text at the top of the card next to the name of the character. You're going to resolve that first, and on the first turn of the game, that's the only effect that gets resolved. However, from then on, once you've determined the winner of a bout, you will put that character into your forgotten pile. When you get to the next round of play and you play another character down onto the table and flip them up and reveal them, the very first thing you do is look at the forgotten ability, the bottom part of each card that is in your forgotten pile, the last card that went on top of that pile. You resolve that ability first, which could seriously affect the gameplay of the current match, and then you resolve the top part, the character ability of the active player. Now, your goal in each of these matches is power. You're trying to outpower and outmaneuver your opponent. Up in the top corner of the card is the power of the card, and there's going to be things that obviously the king is low, but that's because the king can automatically win some battles. But the other character cards, of course, have different levels of power, and they'll all be influenced by the different types of forgotten abilities that you'll have to institute first in every round after the first. Now, if you are able to win out the round by having the most power, then you are going to gain a point, which you'll keep track of with your score tracker. Then those characters are going to be discarded, and then you're going to start it all over again. But now the forgotten abilities of those characters you just discarded are going to have an influence on the characters that you are playing. And just so you know, if there was a tie in power, no points are awarded, the characters go into the Forgotten, and then you do it all over again. And you're going to keep doing this until you meet the point threshold that you and the other player decided at the start of the game, and whoever meets that is going to be the winner of the game. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at those character cards. Alright, so first up, we'll do these in numerical order just of the power level of the cards. Although, remember, that doesn't mean necessarily that they are the strongest card, because other cards and forgotten abilities and their own special abilities are going to have a heavy impact upon the game. But we start off with the king. The king wins all battles except against another king, and his forgotten ability is that the princess gains 4 power this round. Then we have Emily Mary Morgan. Her special ability is that you may add Cindy Mary Morgan from your hand to the battle and gain infinite power. The forgotten ability is if you are losing, you discard a card from your hand to the forgotten to add 2 power to the active character. And here is Cindy Mary Morgan, who has essentially the reverse ability. She can add Emily Mary Morgan from her hand to the battle and gain infinite power. And again, if you are losing, you can discard a card from your hand to add 2. The Jester. You tell a joke to the player you are battling. If he laughs, you win. If not, you gain 4 power. The Forgotten. You tell a joke to the player you are battling. If he laughs, you win. If not, you gain 6 power. Princess. You may add a knight from your hand to the battle. The forgotten ability is that the princess returns to your hand. Gretel. If you battle the witch, you lose. If not, gain 6 power. The forgotten ability, Hansel gains 6 power. Hansel. If you battle the witch, you lose. If not, gain 6 power. The forgotten ability is that Gretel gains 6 power. Red Riding Hood. If you win this battle, add 3 power and continue to the next round. The Forgotten. If Granny is in battle, add +4 power. Otherwise, add +2 power. The Witch. If your opponent chooses either the princess or the fairy, you win this round. The forgotten ability is if you lose the current combat by 4 or less, you remove it as a tie. Granny. If your opponent chooses the wolf this round, you lose. The forgotten ability. Add +5 to red this round. The Knight. You may add the princess from your hand to the battle. The forgotten ability. If you win the current battle, gain 2 victory points instead of just 1. The Fairy, you add X to your power, where X is the highest power in your discard. The Forgotten ability, if the princess is in battle, and no knight is in your hand, she automatically wins, 1 time only. Wizard, if you battle the witch, you win. The Forgotten, you may exchange the wizard with another character in the Forgotten and use their ability. The Evil Queen. If you lose the current battle, the Evil Queen battles again and is unbeatable. The Forgotten ability, the wizard gains 6 power this round. And finally, the Big Bad Wolf. If you're playing the game at night, add 6 power. If you're playing the game in the day, -6 power. The Forgotten ability, if Red or Granny are in the Forgotten, gain 3 power this round. So, that is all the character cards in the base set of Forgotten Kingdom. Other characters may be popping up. So, let's get to my final thoughts. First off, right off the bat, chibis are hot right now. I mean, all over the place. There's incredibly popular other Kickstarters that shall not be named that are using chibi characterizations that have just done very, very well and will continue to do so forever, I think. They're just a perennially hot type of art style and story style that are used in anything influenced and themed by anime and manga. And I think that Forgotten Kingdom is doing a very wise thing by jumping on that bandwagon and using a very unique style of chibi illustrations for what they have here. And it really brings the game to life and gives it just a unique feel and look of its own, setting it apart from other types of card games that are of the same weight as this this game. And speaking of that, this is a very easy game to learn. You'll have this up and running in 5 minutes tops. Really not a difficult one to learn. However, there is a lot of nuance and complexity, a surprising amount to it, because you're playing cards and using their special abilities, but the fact that every card has 2 different abilities means that you have to have some forward planning. You have to say, okay, I use this card now, and maybe it has a good special ability for this particular situation, but what's going to happen when it goes into my forgotten pile? Then it's going to give me a whole new special ability, but how can I chain that together with the other cards in my hand? If I have a card that gives me a bonus for playing, Red Riding Hood next, I better darn well hope that I have Red Riding Hood in my hand to use. Otherwise, that's not going to be an ideal card to play. I may not want to use it. I may want to use it as a throwaway when I don't think I'm going to be able to win the round anyway. So there's a lot of decision making in the game, despite the fact that it is a relatively small footprint of a game. It doesn't have a lot of cards to it, and it is so easy to learn. And I think when you add that all together with the theme, with all these different fairy tale characters, and with the artwork, it really makes for a game that is family weight. It's going to appeal to anyone who wants any gateway gamers, younger gamers, people who are just getting into the hobby. But because there is that level of strategy to it, older gamers, more experienced gamers who do play this with younger players, or even just with other experienced gamers, are going to find enough meat on those bones, so to speak, to actually keep them interested in the game and to keep playing it. So I think for all these different groups of people, the game is potentially very, very viable and could be a great game for those people. And if you think that you are one of those people, if you fall into one of those groups and you want to find out even more, hopefully you'll go to the official Kickstarter project page. There'll be a link down in the description section underneath the video, and also in the top corner of the screen you can click the icon. It'll pull down a little menu that will have the link to the Kickstarter. Go there, find out more information and all the different things that you might be able to unlock during the campaign, and hopefully consider backing Forgotten Kingdom from Cry Wolf Games. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Thanks for watching. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Patreon. And make sure to check out our sponsor, Board Game Bliss, where you can find an amazing selection of games from around the world. BoardGameBliss.com. Thanks for your support.